Hey guys, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. I'm going to do a little podcast about my last coaching session. It was recently with a patient, or I'm sorry, doctor from here in New England, and I've been doing a few of these coaching sessions to see how I liked it. Now, kind of the pros and cons. I've been enjoying it. The problem is, I've been doing it before and after work, so it's been like 7 a.m. and then 5 p.m. So I didn't like the time. And so I feel like if I ever get into doing this in the future, like helping people one-on-one, which I really don't think it's the most effective use of time, I would do it. Basically, I would block my patients. So I wouldn't see patients and I would coach people. But for now, it's just getting my feet wet and trying it and things like that. So this doctor, he's been in practice for 20 some years. He recently he had $1 million practice when he was doing more neuropathy. I guess there was this Cinexa, which is a kind of an injection thing where they're doing these vitamin injections, and so he was doing really well, and then all of a sudden he went down very low. He's kind of sees 25 to 30 patients a day. The majority are foot care. He does diabetic shoes. He does some braces, some orthotics, some night splints. And if he could only see one patient, this is a question I always like to ask, so it's maybe something you think about. What's the one patient? And so I guess he said told me two. He wants diabetic neuropathy patients and heel pain patients. He has one office, doesn't really have many staff. His family's working for him, and he's interested in getting more most valuable patients. He's also working with another gentleman. He's a friend of mine, Lorcan from Europe, and kind of working with some AdWords and Facebook ads and things like that. So his frustration is he really hasn't been finding these Facebook ads working to get the diabetic neuropathy patients in. And then his other big frustration is that his diabetic neuropathy patients, this treatment used to be covered by insurance and it no longer is. This neuropathy treatment that he can do. He has some special machine as well. So let's first talk about like the low-hanging fruit for him. He didn't like seeing all this diabetic stuff all the time. And so I recommended blocking his time. I'm a big advocate of blocking your routine care time. So the easiest thing to do would be to put all your routine on 1 or 1.5 days if you need to. So that was the first thing I recommended. Now, the frustrating thing for me when I do this coaching, I never know if people are going to do it or not. But and he asked me, what am I going to do with all my extra time? Because I might have all this extra time because I told him to double book the patients and put them in there and things like that. Well, with the rest of the time, that's where you're going to kind of build up your heel pain or your neuropathy focuses, right? That would be the idea. He was a couple of good things he was doing with his diabetics. He was doing a diabetic foot exam once a year. What I like to do is I do them around their birthday just to make it easier for him to remember when I do it. For my scribe, he does diabetic shoes. He's not doing ABIs, so I think there's an area for increased, the same way he would do a diabetic foot exam and shoes, can also do diabetic, an ABI on those diabetes once a year. So let's go into this neuropathy stuff. I'm going to focus a little bit, kind of what my recommendations were for him, and then some of the struggles, and then I'll go into some heel pain, and then we'll be done. Okay. So neuropathy, I frankly don't treat that much neuropathy. I don't have the greatest success. I'm glad someone does. What he usually does is he has people come in, they do a questionnaire that talks about foot pain and kind of their problems, and he does a real kind of a deep dive, which I think is good, kind of getting down to their pain problems. This is usually in person and through like a regular visit. So I think his first visit is a level 4 visit, and people talk about like falling and lack of feeling and how it affects, and he does muscle testing and tons of blood work, a lot of more extensive blood work than I do. He does like A1C, CRP, calcium, magnesium, thyroid, vitamin B's, D's, iron, things like that. So he does it all at the first day. And then on the second day, he comes, has them go over the results. And I like this. This is an idea I learned about within chiropractors. They do that. They kind of see them the first day, get the x-rays and everything, and then they see them the second day and they say that their spine's going to fall out and they need 532 adjustments. Just joking. I got that from Dan Kennedy. Kind of talks about the marketing of chiropractors. And speaking of this, this kind of seemed a little bit chiropractic to me, this whole neuropathy thing, but that's just me. So they're put on a program. And so this program is for people that are willing to change their lifestyle And then are you willing to change your life? So when people go through the whole spiel, they report of findings, what they have going on. Then they are given two options. Are you willing to make changes or no? If they're not, then basically he just offers them some creams and some vitamins. A couple of things I recommended adding to that. I know some people do well with bilateral night splints. Sorry, it's early in the morning here, and when I'm recording this. And then some people do well with shockwave, so something that he wasn't offering. But then he goes into if they are willing to make the life change, which I'm a big advocate of this whole life change thing, like getting their A1C down. I'm a big advocate of that. I just don't know if I want to be the one to help them to get their A1C down with like I recommend fasting and I recommend the keto diet, but usually I refer out for someone else to help them with that just because I don't have the time to do that coaching. I think he kind of recommends that as well. And then they come in and there's a couple of packages. He says there's 3 packages, package 1, 2, and 3. One is like 3,500, package probably 2 and 3 are probably less expensive, but it involves 24 treatments. And I just think to myself, oh my goodness, that's a lot of time. It's a lot of so it's a 3 month if there's 3 month package, 20 minutes twice a week. I think it's something you put your foot into, and then they give injections of vitamins and suction cups and supplements and CBDs and slippers and everything that they need for 3 months. And he has about an 85% success rate. Now I think that's great. If it works, that's great. I don't know how to do that, and it sounds interesting. But the cool thing is that if things don't work, he gives 50% of the money back, which is I think is good. So the challenge for him was, well, how the heck do I now go from something that insurance was covering to now insurance doesn't cover, and I'm having a hard time finding patients that are willing to pay me 3,500. So that's a struggle. He's kind of blaming it on maybe where he lives at in New England, the types of patients that he has. But I really think the issue is certainly getting someone that's diabetic and has neuropathy. So usually these are non-compliant patients many times because they have an elevated A1C. To do anything is hard. Reminds me of when I did my first podcast. The first podcast I ever did was heal my foot wound fast, and I was trying to do a membership site for foot wounds until I realized that foot wound people, the patients themselves, they just were kind of non-compliant, so they wouldn't watch a podcast. And I was trying to do it for patients, not for doctors. But then I kind of lost interest in that. But as I digress, I think the neuropathy package for 3,500, I like the idea of having a large check. Like I don't have one of those right now. And so I love the idea if it really works. So if it really works, um, for the neuropathy, I'm all about that. But I think getting a lot of those patients that are willing to pay 3,500 might be a challenge unless you have someone feeding them to you, like a endocrinologist or someone else. And if they're already used to paying money for medical care, I think that's the other challenge that we have. They're not really used to that. And so what was he doing right now? He's trying to get the correct ad. He thinks the ad is everything, or Lorcan thinks that is. Um, it might be. It might be the ad. It might be converting the person when they come in, like having them decide they're going to take that package. I gave him a couple of other ideas. These are kind of I would call them shallow ideas, because I'm not doing this. Then I'll tell you my best idea. Okay, so first of all, maybe doing a press release and getting in the TV or the newspaper about neuropathy. I think that would really build his credibility, and I think positioning is really, really important. So any way that we're able to do a press release, get on TV or newspaper. How do you do that? Well, for a busy doctor, it's not hard, not easy. The way I tend to do it is I have a virtual assistant that has a team that they can help with that type of stuff. So I'm going to give you kind of ideas and then ways it can get done without you. So I would do a virtual assistant that has connections for doing press releases and kind of doing some of those press releases to try to get you there. Another thing that could be done is I did something similar with my wart stuff is doing YouTube shorts. If you go to askthepublic.com, you can put in different questions about neuropathy, and then it'll give you a whole bunch of questions that people are asking. And so you answer each one of these questions in like a 1-minute video. And then you would get like a custom domain called like fixmyneuropathy.com. I have one that says fixmywart.com because I was trying to market, or I'm marketing Swift. So I thought that was a good idea, but those are kind of labor intensive things, and you don't know when they're going to pay off. Use paid Facebook ads and Google ads, put them on social media, to having a web page for neuropathy, having a kind of a good offer for like a free phone consult. I thought that was a neat idea. Maybe even writing a book, doing a webinar, doing an email sequence, and then having an offer. I think those are all kind of high level things. So those could all be done with a virtual assistant, right? All that research, even ghostwriting the book, email sequences, all this stuff. Because what I've learned more and more, if we think about these ideas and we want to do them, we'll just never get around to them. That's the problem. We're just kind of busy seeing patients, humping it every day. So you need someone to do these things for you if you want them to get done. Unless you're like gonna say, okay, I'm gonna, you know, pump this out and get up early and have this block time in order to do that. What was my $1 million idea? I think it's $1 million idea anyway. Is I asked him, I said, are there other people that are actually doing this and doing it for cash for like 3,500? He said, yes, there are. There are other people that pivoted, and he said some of them are chiropractors, some of them probably are going to be other types of doctors or things like that, and they're doing like PRP injections and other types of injections, and they say it's working. So my $1 million idea was, well, why don't you just befriend one of them and go shadow them and visit them and just to kind of see how they do it. I know it sounds like a real simple idea. Now, I don't know if this guy's going to take action on this. That's the frustrating thing also about coaching as well, because so many people are really slow to take action. Just like I'm slow to take action. Like I'm same thing. Uh, and so I just said, hey, just find a chiropractor that's doing it. Oh, and he came up with all these excuses like, oh, what happens if they're not gonna, let me come visit? What happens if they think I'm competition? For the most part, I think most of us, we're gonna let anyone come and visit if they want to come to learn, if they're interested. It's like someone's interested, and then I recommended for him to come and visit me in my office before I'm starting to charge. I'm not really charging yet people to come visit me, but it gives me great joy to have people come and shadow because they can share things. I'm in my work day, they can kind of see how things work. So that's what I recommended, that he visit another chiropractor, anyone that is actually making money and making this work, because people look like they're making money and making it work, but they might not be. So the best way to go is just shadow them and see what they're doing. Okay, so that was the neuropathy focus, the last focus, and that was my one idea. So if you want to, it's like anything. If you want to learn anything, you have to go shadow someone that's doing it. Like the way I learned, like Shockwave, was going one of the Shockwave courses and then visiting other doctors that had Shockwave. That's how you get good at it. Kind of similar in residency, right? When you're learning surgery from different people, you want to go and spend time with them. So it might cost you a little bit, but if you're going to put all the routine care on the same day, it might be a feasible option. The second thing he was talking about was doing a heel pain, and we were spending most of our hour on the neuropathy stuff. A couple of high points, just want to point out. He was charging 400 for orthotics, and he was thinking about going up to 500. I just told him to go up to 600, at least 600, just because you make the choice on that, right? You don't compare with others, you just compare to the value that they get, and I said I ordain you to increase your price to 600, because a lot of us, we just need like approval and saying that it's okay to do that. So increase your prices, number one. Second was putting a little, talked about this before, put a little coupon in there when they get the orthotics that says, hey, you're gonna get this pair, you probably want a second pair, so you get $200 off the second pair. So that was another thing that we've been doing that works well. And also when I introduce orthotics, I usually say most of my patients, they get two pairs because most people wear two pairs of shoes, and just makes it easier for compliance. And we'll start with the first pair, and then if you want, you can get a second pair in the future, and there'll be a coupon. So that's how I explain it. A couple of other things I was talking for heel pain. He's not dispensing foam rollers. And he asked me a couple of times, you just send people to Amazon. I never, ever, ever, actually, I shouldn't say ever. The Walk Hero inserts, because I don't have an over-the-counter insert. So if I'm recommending an insert, I'll send them to get that one. But otherwise, I never send them to Amazon to buy stuff. There are some similar companies that sell things on Amazon, and usually if you buy them in bulk, you'll get it less than the Amazon price, and then you can resell it. And most of the times they'll get stuff for convenience as well. And then I gave him a couple of other ideas for like using bilateral night splints. We talked about ultrasound and shockwave as well. He had a hard time kind of investing in that, I think. And that's why I find a big challenge with a lot of doctors, is that they're not willing to invest or they're fearful of investing in new technology for their practice. And I can understand that is a challenge, but there are a lot of other things that he can do. So the one thing I had told him to do as well, to come and shadow me in my practice. So anyway, that was another coaching call I did. If you are interested in a coaching call, periodically I have these little special thingies where these were a couple I did for $100. It was not worth $100. Like, it was worth a lot more. If you just raise his orthotics, you could make it 10, 20 times back. And it wasn't worth my time either. So I probably don't want to do that at 7 in the morning or at 5 p.m., which is the time I'm doing it. So hope you guys are benefiting from this podcast. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but if you like this, tell your friends. And if you want to come visit my practice, I'll let you know if I'm charging yet. But come and visit. It'd be fun. I like to go visit other people's practices as well. I wish you guys all the best. If you want to learn more, go to Podiatry Practice Mastery, and there's a lot of stuff there. Okay, thanks.